Whatever that means. Good. Are we going? We are on. Okay. Good. So let's begin just standing up. Thus breaking the frame. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And all I want you to do is shift from foot to foot. Not mindlessly. Tune in, feel how it feels on one foot, and then feel the weight shifting over to the other foot. So we're not this, just actually feel it. Something's happening there as you shift your weight from one foot to the other. And then while doing that hula hoop very slowly, super slowly. And while doing that, circle your arms very slowly. So hula hooping, circling arms, shifting weight from foot to foot. Feel that, actually tune into what that feels like. And then reverse it all. Some embarrassing moments there. Okay, now reduce the hand circles to the tiniest possible amount. Like tiny, 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 tiny circles. Same with the hula hooping. You're still moving, but it is the tiniest movement you can imagine. And shifting the weight, same thing. Very, very subtle, very small. Now let your arms just float down while you keep shifting weight and hula hooping. No more shifting weight, but still teeny tiny circles. Feel the tiny circles. Other direction. And then come back to seating, to sitting down. Now on the cushion, just for a moment, let's do the circles again, but with your whole spine, like the spine is a straight tree, just circling in a very light breeze. That inward, just look at, feel, sense this tiny circular movement. Very small, very small. Maybe someone watching wouldn't even notice it. And then bring it to stillness. Right at the spot where it feels the most balanced, the most relaxed and open and easy. How's the volume back there, Ruben? Is that good? Thank you. Now I invite you to just check in with yourself, asking the inquiry question, what's it like to be me right now? And then looking, what is it like to be you right now? What's it feel like? How's the body feel? How do the emotions feel? What kind of thoughts are racing around? And what's basically the psychic weather report? How's it going in there? And just look. And then from that place of looking, just allow whatever it's like, just allow that to be just right, perfectly okay, perfectly fine, just the way it is. Even if it's chaotic or disturbed or miserable or whatever, just for now, just let it be that way. Let go of fighting it, let go of trying to change it, just completely let it be however it is. Let's just be with that for a moment. Just okay, just fine, just the way it is. Now I invite you next to sit like a mountain. Notice a sense of stability, notice a sense of eternity, notice a sense of beauty, notice a sense of nobility. It doesn't have to be a visual, could be, but it's more like express sitting like a mountain. The roots of this mountain extend down into the core of the earth. The peak of the mountain rises up through the air and into the heavens. And this particular mountain is eternal. It's been here for a time that is outside of time. Eternity is not a time, it's outside of time. Allow your mind to be like the sky into which the mountain ascends. It's just wide open, incredibly vast sky that goes on forever. And just allow your mind to rest as this open sky, effortlessly vast, effortlessly welcoming. The sky welcomes all things. A tremendous sense of wakefulness, tremendous sense of clarity and openness. And as you tune into this wakeful, spacious clarity, just allow the body to just relax a lot. The mountain is not striving or struggling. It is really at ease. It is really at rest. It is really comfortable. If you're feeling sleepy at all, sit up a little straighter, open your eyes. Wakefulness is present. And into the sky of the mind, notice a sun rising, a bright, clear, beautiful sun. And the energy of the sun is clarity, wakefulness, and wisdom. It's the sun of our own enlightened wisdom, rising in this wide open sky of the mind. And I'll just chant a very old mantra, maybe the oldest mantra that's ever been recorded, which is Om Bhurvah Swaha Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhyo Yo Na Prachodayat. That's from the Rig Veda, and it's a chant to the divine sun, requesting that it enlighten our minds. And interestingly, that chant is in grammar that says it's in a group, our minds. We meditate. So let the light of this divine sun now descend into the mind, bringing a sense of clarity, a sense of wakefulness, brightness, and wisdom. Notice how everyone's sitting really still. So in this relaxed, open mood, then let the warmth and kindness and presence and caring of this divine sun come into the heart of the mountain. And just feel that sense of connectedness and intimacy and warmth and caring. Now feeling kind of stabilized, feeling rather still and stable with this open, bright, wakeful clarity and presence and kindness. Just notice the breath wave rising and falling. Just in the background, the foreground is the openness, the brightness, the clarity. But just notice the breath wave coming and going, coming and going. If thoughts are arising, and those can be words or pictures or memories or intentions, just let them be there, but don't engage at all. We're not trying to stop thinking, but neither are we engaging with thinking. It's just happening, and we're not giving it any energy at all. Just resting as open, bright, clear awareness. That's the stability. Notice the stability of this openness. It's stable without anybody doing anything. It's already there. It's already vast. It's already bright and clear. It's already stable. So we rest in that stability. And we just notice that the wave of the breath is just slowly moving like a flag in a very gentle breeze, a banner in a very gentle breeze. Even if thoughts are spinning, moving, doing their thing, do not engage at all. Be the sky of the mind, which is wide open and clear without any thoughts at all. There can be thoughts down in there somewhere, but most of the mind is simply still and bright clarity and wakefulness. And we rest in that part, not in the turbulent whirlwinds of thinking, where there is no rest. Notice that there's a vast space of the mind in which thinking is not occurring, incomparably larger than the little tiny fishbowl that the thoughts are happening in. We're just very used to focusing on the fishbowl, but you don't have to do that. Be the sky. Rest as the open sky. Not engaging with the thoughts. What if right now there's actually no problem to solve? What if right now there's nothing to fix? What if right now you don't have to change anything? What is there for the thinking to even do? What if there are no solutions at all in the mind? All the solutions come from the vast, open, awake space itself. Unmediated. Now allowing awareness itself to remain vast. Move the seeming center of attention to the heart, where the sun of wakefulness is still burning bright. Feel the warm, kind, open presence of this radiant star of wakefulness in the heart, and rest as that, in that, be that bright illumination. Bursting open the heart. Burning through all barriers, all boundaries, all protection, all closed offness, the thick hide of defensiveness, all burnt away completely till there's nothing left except radiant, bright, brilliant, wakeful, loving presence. Be that. Rest as that. In the heart. Pure love. Breaking down all barriers, especially barriers within ourselves, breaking down all the self-deception, breaking down all the illusion, incinerating all the delusion and lies and confusion and obscurations, and just revealing pure beauty and true love. The heart completely naked and exposed and beautiful and courageous and shining like a star. This heart is so loving. It's so gracious and kind and welcoming that no part of yourself is rejected. Everything stupid and ugly and disgusting and unworthy is welcome in this heart and loved in this heart and at home in this heart. And this heart seeks out all the parts that are hiding, all the parts that are rejected, all the parts that are broken, all the parts that are dead and buried, at least seemingly, all the parts that are lost, and brings them into the fire of warmth and kindness and caring and belonging. All the worst parts of yourself, all the things you've really done really wrong that are bad, are found and welcomed and forgiven and accepted and loved in this heart. And all the ways that you're cynical and too smart for this and above it all, and this is not my thing, just melts in this love, which is all it really wants anyway. Now begin to notice this heart, the sun in the heart, this bright shining star in the heart is getting brighter and more powerful, clearer, warmer, more welcoming, more loving, more kind. And let it begin to radiate out through all of space. And think of someone near to you who could use some extra kindness right now. And let this shining light of caring and warmth and intimacy and friendship touch them. And the light of the sun burns away all of their sorrow and burns away all of their suffering and burns away all of their rejectedness and fills them with a sense of ease and a sense of being cared for and a sense of joy again. See that clearly beaming out from your heart to them. And the light from the sun in your heart just obliterates all the sorrow, all the suffering, all the pain, and replaces it with ease and joy and kindness. Very good. And now let's do this again with another person who is close to you, another person who is deeply suffering, who could use the light of kindness and caring that beams out from the heart and relieves their suffering directly. And see that clearly, see their suffering being relieved, their sorrows being burned away, their sense of aloneness or forgottenness or rejectedness obliterated, and a real sense of being cared for, being welcomed in, feeling joy, feeling health, feeling exuberance and vivaciousness returning directly from the radiance of the sun in the heart. See that as clearly as you can. Wish that for them as strongly as you can. And you got to wonder, how strong is this sun in the heart? How much suffering can it relieve? How much love does it have and kindness is there? And how far does it go? So let's quit goofing around and open it up here. And just begin to breathe in all the suffering in the whole world. Breathing it in directly into this shining sun in the heart and burning it away without a trace. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there is a lot of suffering. Breathe that in and notice that the heart gets bigger and bigger, stronger and stronger, brighter and brighter, as it burns away the pain and burns away the sorrow and incinerates the suffering of all the people and all the children and all the animals and every being everywhere. Bring that right into yourself, all of it. Take it from them onto yourself, where it is then burned away by the sun in the heart. And then breathe out joy and kindness and relief and beauty and peace. Give them all that you've got and then give them more and more. Give it all away. Radiate it out and give it all away to every other being. Every child bleeding in a war zone. Every terrified animal waiting in an abattoir. Every person or creature choking in a poisoned environment. Everyone trapped in a traumatic home. Everyone crushed by oppression. Breathe it all in and burn it all away with the light of the love in your heart. which gets brighter and brighter. The more it consumes, it gets bigger and more powerful and more wide open and vulnerable and unguarded. And that feeling of kindness, breathe it all out, give it away. Like it's the last day of the world, give it all away. Breathe out all the love, breathe out all the wisdom, breathe out all the goodness, that these others may benefit. And feel the heart grow even more bright and clear and fierce in its love. Hold nothing back. Become an utter pauper, having given it all away. Find that last little grimy cell of selfishness and tear it open and let the sunlight just burn it apart. Burn it down. Give it all away. Whatever's in there, hand it out on the street. Now find someone you really dislike intensely. They are a bad person and you don't like them. And give it all to them. Let the sunlight in your heart, this brilliant, radiant wisdom of kindness and caring, utterly remove all the difficulty and suffering and sorrow and brokenness from their life. Because we're not just giving it out to the people we like and think are good. This is too loving for that, too forgiving for that, too wide open. It can't make those distinctions. Shine the light of perfect relief and joy and kindness utterly upon them. And take on all their worst qualities and burn them away in the light of wisdom. Every last bit of judgment within you burns away. This open-heartedness is completely welcoming, forgiving, and open. Now let the sun, which has consumed all this fuel, burn even brighter, even clearer, even more loving, even more kind, even more open, even more welcoming, even more intimate, even more connected, even more present. And let it shine to each person in the room here and feel that light from each person in the room shining back on you. And then imagine it radiating out to everyone, everywhere who's also doing this meditation, radiating to them and radiating back to you. All over the world. And then imagine it radiating everywhere to all the Buddhas in all the worlds, in all the metaverses, and all the hearts of all the Buddhas in all the worlds and all the metaverses, radiating Buddha love back to you from all directions, everywhere. Stronger and brighter and clearer, kinder, gentler, more loving, more open, more forgiving. And clearly feeling this infinite net of radiant sun hearts, all radiating to and from each other in all directions. Join me in chanting the mantra of great compassion, Om Mani Padme Hum, turning up the brightness and clarity of this love and chanting rather loudly together with me. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Now faster. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Ni Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Padme Hum. Padme Hum, Om Mani 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 Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum. Very good. Let's end the meditation there. Although really we should keep going for the rest of the evening. Stop there for a moment. If you need to use the restroom or whatever, feel free to do that. Watch out getting up because your feet might be asleep if you were sitting nice and still. Okay, so we have a microphone that we pass around. If anything's coming up for you, feel free to share it. If you have stuff you want to ask me for whatever reason, feel free to do that. Just raise your hand.
Maybe I jumped the gun on that one. Am I ready to talk? I just had a few things to share. No questions tonight. One, people on YouTube, you are in my practice tonight, in my heart mind, because I've been watching these from afar when I was sick and I couldn't be here personally. So I just want you to know you're part of this web of compassion. Two is just thank you to everybody in the room. That was really cool. I was overwhelmed. And I really, really just felt that really strongly, and I appreciated it. So just thank you. It's really touching to have a group of people with compassion radiating from them. Actually, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. What else is coming up out there in the room?
It's so cool when you mentioned the sun, the phosphines, and my eyelids. It was suddenly yellow, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like I was imagining it. It was just that way, which was really cool. And also, I really liked the part when you asked everyone to beam love at each other. I could feel it in my back. So
Yeah, imagine what it's like up here.
yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Really feel that stuff. What else is going on? And of course, feel free to ask questions, especially stupid questions or forbidden questions or whatever. Those are good ones too. That keeps it interesting for me.
Yeah, I've always really struggled with the idea of taking on other people's suffering and compassion and like mixing that up with savior energy.
Yeah.
But someone said something recently to me in a different meditation that really like connected here, where it was like when we breathe in oxygen from the plants and then like exhale out CO2, it's like it's poison to us, but it's like life for them.
Yeah.
And in some way, that's almost what happened here, where I was like, oh, the suffering from these others is like, that can be fuel for me. Like that sun is taking it. And it's like, in some ways, it's integrating my own pain and learning to like make it a part of me. And then it's like exhaling out back that love was like, just that was the integration part. It's like that acceptance and like giving it back and giving people that fuel in this beautiful cycle. And then just feeling that come through everybody, and it's like, wow, what I can't own, you're owning for me, which is then letting, like, it was so complex and so beautiful. And I thought I'd have a dumb question, but I really just think I wanted to share that.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
I don't know why I don't practice metta practice that way, because it's metta is usually my least favorite practice, but because it's always done with the words, with the phrases, may you be happy, may you be at peace, which just comes across as begrudgingly from me. But anyway, the visualization seems like the only way it should be done. And so I'm just curious why, just as a random question, like, why is metta practice often taught from the phrases and not like the full power shit like this is?
Well, metta is done like metta's done, right? It's written that way in the suttas, but this is more like Tonglen, so it's a different practice.
Yeah,
which is visualization.
Visualization, but wasn't the beginning of it still? It was a lot of self-love, right? It seemed less Tonglen at the beginning.
Yeah, first give ourselves lots of resource before we
take on other people's suffering. Right. Okay.
But I agree, the visualization is very powerful. Yeah.
Could metta be done purely in visualization?
Absolutely.
Then? Yeah.
I remember Ajahn Brahm doing a whole metta thing that was just about like, now imagine you've got this little kitten and the kitten is dirty and cold and hungry and got cuts and scratches, and you just like clean it up and you put ointment on its cuts and scratches and you comb out its little fur and you make it all warm and you give it some food, and like that's his metta. And it's just getting in that mood of kindness and caring as deeply as possible with this whole visualization of taking care of a little kitten. So yeah, you can do metta that way. There's nobody more sort of like fundamentalist than Ajahn Brahm, and Theravada practice, and that's how he does metta. So, sure.
I also have just something to share. That was fantastic, Michael. Thank you for that. Yeah, there was a moment when we were zooming out to the metaverses of holographically shining Buddha hearts. I got this almost like diamond, like just intensity. And there was almost a long, it was so palpable, the love, and how radiant it was. It was so accessible. And for a moment, there was like I could sympathize with that desire to just melt into it.
Yeah.
It made me think of Christopher Bache's work when he would talk about, in these far out LSD sessions, accessing this diamond luminosity, and then how painful it would be to come back. But I just want to share, like, at that moment of wishing to maybe that like first axial age up and out imperative, wanting to just, dissolve into that forever, really bringing that down here and fully affirming being here. Like to access that love, but not want to get out of here, but fully.
Yeah, no, the immanence is actually even sweeter, right? Even more powerful, even more beautiful. So bringing it back just expands it zillionfold, for sure. Yeah. Excellent. Thanks. Let's go back there first. You said a question forever. Sorry. We don't want it to get stale.
Yeah, thank you. I have more of a practice question. I think, especially right when taking suffering in, it feels like I go through these cycles of it either being overwhelming or kind of then like unintentionally feeling it more light, so that I can like lighting the suffering, and so that I can kind of take it and transform it. And so I was wondering, I guess, what your thoughts were about kind of like how should one orient towards that? Because I think in the moments of ease, it feels like, right, like I'm not taking enough suffering, and that's what's kind of like making that process easier.
You're doing it from the mind, which is very limited and very small and feels like it has to work really hard. We're doing it from a burning, stellar, fusion event, right? There's no limit, and there's no work really. It just, the more that comes in, the more fuel for the star. Okay, so don't think of it as me as a person has to transform. It's not like that. This radiant heart is vast, limitless, cannot be swamped. Bring it on. There's just no limit. And in fact, when you start noticing that quality, then you don't hold back. It's like really go for the bad suffering, the shit you don't even want to think about because it's just so awful. And radiate the purest, sweetest, kindest, gentlest peace and love and openness towards that. Okay, directly from this limitless source that isn't doing any work at all.
I appreciate you saying that. I think hearing you say that, I think there's a disconnect when I use my imagination. That actually puts me actually more so in my mind than in my heart. And I don't know if you have anything to say towards that.
Show me where your imagination is.
I'm not sure I follow.
Where does your imagination come from? Look, right now, find the source. It's not from thinking. Thinking is a pale, pale echo way downstream. So I would claim it's not coming from your mind, your thinking mind at all. So just follow that as a pointer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Fazia?
So a little disorganized, but I want to ask about situations in which you have to actually give time, space, money, all of that. Something like having a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not having a baby, but something like that. It's a
You're
cute.
sure?
It's a it's a cute idea to get over anger and neurosis so that it can help others to know how to deal with depression and loneliness, all of that. I love that kind of giving, but giving my space and time and money, and that's the hardest. So while doing the meditation, I was thinking about a situation in which I have to do that, and so the resistance was, or the answer to resistance was, just give it away, just let it go, and let the time and space and money, whatever is it, let it all go. And but if I like, if you tell this to people, they will say, oh no, your boundaries, you have to
Yeah.
have your own boundaries, which
Well,
is a
notice
weird
that everyone in our society is super happy,
idea.
and that by maintaining all these boundaries and giving themselves more free time and more alone time and more, boundaries, and I've got my special room that I have for my special self in my special space, they've just become intensely miserable. So maybe that advice isn't that good. I don't know, but it's a question I would just wonder aloud.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a culture which has less of those boundaries, it's sometimes interesting that when I talk to my friends, something that is obvious for me to do, that is counted as going against your own boundaries, or not having your own boundaries. But it's become it's a question for me too. Where is the boundary? When is it called selfishness? When is it called not letting go and grasping to the time and the space and all of that?
Yeah.
But the question, I think, was how to, is the antidote to just give it away. That resistance, that no, I don't want to do this. I want to keep my money and time and all of that to myself.
Yeah, I think it's a question that we, instead of just I could pretend to have an answer, but I would be lying. It's just something to keep. It's one of those questions that keeps living, right? It's an interesting question, and also remember that you count as a being too.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're supposed to starve and die to give it all away. So but I would say it's one of those questions that if we follow it, it gets more and more rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excellent. And then also sometimes I think, like, when doing these meditations and like having this motto that I'm here for others, and I'm living for others, or learning for others. So when it comes to that giving space and time and money, then suddenly everything breaks down, and no, I don't want to give it. So then it becomes such an empty word and promise that, oh, I want to live for others. So why aren't you doing that actually?
Yeah.
So that's insulting to myself.
Right. And it's we do the best we can, and then we stretch to try to do a little more.
Yeah.
Right. I just think of the words Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. That's the mood, right? The compassion, the mercy. That's where we're coming from. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Me again. Question number 2. In the shamanic stuff, I've had to learn about being careful of taking on dark energy. It's a very important thing that I teach. Anyway, in this process, I was going for it. I was all in it, so in it, it's expanding. But then there was a point when you said, think of a bad person and take on their qualities. And
burn them away completely.
Well, that was the thing. But then, of course, I imagined a certain ex-president and imagined those qualities, and I was this moment of like, this feels a little dangerous to bring it on, because there was a moment of doubt, just like, let's not play with fire on this one, and I moved to someone like less monstrous. And so anyway, is that still mind and ego there, or is it not fully in it because there was, hey, look, there was a boundary, or there was some caution there?
It depends on who's doing the practice. If it's our small self, our mind, our sense of our ego and our limited boundaries, then all the warnings are correct.
Mhm.
But if it's the radiant heart of our own true awakened Buddha nature, nothing can possibly harm that. There's no amount of darkness that can't transmute. So it just depends.
So the
But I
fact that
would say always lean into the Buddha nature. Always lean into, there's enough space, there's enough light, there's enough wakefulness, there's enough clarity. It can never, ever be submerged.
So the fact that I determined, if I feel that resistance, maybe that's a sign that, hey, I need to drop back into awakened awareness and try and get back to
From
that.
there. Do it from there. Yeah.
Okay.
Or just let that heart just burn away those doubts and thoughts. Right? That's our own little knot of stuff that needs to be burned away.
All right, yeah. Or the giving away, more of the giving away of this thing, trying to just go through that boundary.
Yeah. Okay. Good question.
It's been a while since I read up on this, but I'm getting pretty curious about the rest practices such in Shinzen's system.
Yes.
And I just remember his instructions being like, focus on relaxation.
Yes.
Is that pretty much the whole story?
The
Is
whole
there
story of what? The
rest practice?
No. If we're talking Shinzen system,
Yeah.
at least in the last iteration that I was fully, qualified in, which might have been 100 years ago, in any sensory space, there is activity and there's non-activity, right? So there's activity and there's rest. And so in any space, we can tune into activity, sound, sight, stuff happening, or we can tune into when stuff's not happening. So lack of something happening, lack of something happening, lack of something happening. And we can do it in each space or in all the spaces at once or any combination, right? So you want to, this happens all the time where I'll be like, okay, I want you to meditate on thinking. And people will be like, oh, but there wasn't any thought when I looked there. So no activity, but it's like, okay, meditate on the no activity there. That's harder because there's, in a way, nothing to focus on. You're just, let's say, awareing into the mind space with no thought in it. But that's still something to meditate on. Right? So it's not just resting. It's actively looking at nothing happening.
Is it? Because I feel, is it really a doing that one has?
Not in the end, because of course awareness is just aware. If there's any doing, it's just keeping it in that space a little bit.
Right.
It's very, very, very relaxed, but it's still looking. It's not checked out into some kind of like numb, fuzzy or like dull relaxation. It's really clear, looking at nothing happening. Okay? That works.
So in this room right now, in the auditory domain, restfulness, like this is...
There's sounds happening, but there's
Right.
also a lot of not sound happening. So you keep listening to the silence that's there. This is just a shamatha technique, right? It's not more than a shamatha technique, but you keep listening to the silence. In the visual field, you keep observing the darkness, the literal darkness, not metaphoric, and so on. If your eyes are closed, or in mental image, you notice no mental images happening.
And feel I think it was just relaxation.
It's neutrality in the body. So the opposite of activity. And that's how you do it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. I want to parry off what you were talking about the meditating and the mind. And so much of what I'm hearing is, we're focusing on this. But when I think of focus, I think of mind, the mind focusing. And so when I try
it's just a language thing. You can't really focus from thinking. Awareness is what's focusing. And awareness isn't a thought. It isn't a mental image. It's not. Awareness is just aware. So that's what's being focused, if anything. When we're thinking, awareness is focused on thinking, right? That's what it's paying attention to. But we don't pay attention from thinking. So if we say the mind, what I'm generally talking about is the machinery of like remembering and planning and all that.
So it's more kind of just like being.
Well, look at this bell. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to think to do that?
Yeah, because I had to take in all the.
That's
what it
not
looked
thinking.
like.
You just looked.
I guess I'm going to have to think on that. Thank you. But no, I think embodying it and feeling more like with my heart and kind of trying to feel it is helping. But the mind just, I'm not used to meditating in quiet.
Yeah.
I need something that will keep the mind quiet or occupied so that I can either chant or things like that.
So that's your habit. That's great. That's beautiful. Notice we're doing it in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is let the thoughts just spin, but you're not grabbing onto them ever. So they can be there, but who cares? They're just off doing their thing and we're not engaging. So it's a different method.
So yeah, more practice on this method as well is what I can feel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for today. That was really nice.
Thanks for being here. Let's end the questions there. And we're going to have Katie talk to us about stuff.
Katie talks about stuff. The best part. Okay, there are a few stuffs to talk to you all about. First of all, importantly, this is not happening next Thursday. Do not show up unless you really want to meditate on nothing, which you could do in the parking lot because neither of us will be here. So really don't come. So next Thursday we're taking we're skipping a week. You can sit on your own, or there's hundreds of guided meditations on Michael's YouTube channel. So you can play YouTube roulette, pick one. And then we'll be back here the following Thursday and probably every Thursday after that until Thanksgiving. He's committing to that right now.
There's some retreats.
That's right. There are. But we'll be back the following Thursday, but definitely don't come next Thursday. Not happening. Okay. And then coming up, tomorrow night, we have Miriam Perez, who's been hosting the integral dance on Sunday morning. So her background is in Sufi whirling, as well as several other techniques and traditions. Her dance class is lovely. It's got a guided part. It's got an improvisational part. And tomorrow night, she's doing something in this room called Turning Towards the Heart. And it's going to have a guided component. There's going to be a dancing component. And she was originally going to have one musician, but as of today, she has 3. And the third one is like some surprise person who is like, I don't know, I don't know who they are, but everyone's excited about them. So that's tomorrow night. Really lovely way to spend a Friday evening here. So Miriam will be here tomorrow with live musicians, and tickets for that. I think there are some, but not a lot of tickets left, and you can get tickets for that on our Eventbrite. And then on Saturday, we have we've never done this before. We're doing something that is just for the volunteers. So we've had volunteer only events before, but they've mostly involved projects. This one is just for volunteers. It's an afternoon on spiritual friendship. And it's going to be Eric Davis and his wife, Jennifer, and their friend Spiru, who, if you have not met Spiru, he is like straight up a force of nature. Like there is only one Spiru anywhere in all of space and time and multiverses. Like there's just one of this guy. He's amazing. And he's going to make chai. And we're going to talk about kind of peer-to-peer spirituality, what's going on in our practice, what is a spiritual friend, and have like a discussion about that. So that's Saturday afternoon at 1 in this room, and we'll have chai in the co-working space. If you're interested in volunteering and you're not on the volunteer, I don't know why I'm waggling my finger. If you're interested in volunteering, we want you to volunteer. And you're not on the volunteer list yet. If you sign up to be on the volunteer list tonight, you'll get the email with the link about that on Friday. So you can still come and have chai with Spiru on Saturday. So that is what's coming up. And then additionally, the Alembic is a nonprofit. We formed as a nonprofit and not as a business because we wanted to be community supported, and we wanted to work on this project in collaboration with all of you to create this thing together and to make it into what it's going to be together. So I would encourage you, if you can afford to, and you can freely give, to please do. If you can afford to donate to Alembic, your donation is tax deductible, and it helps to co-create this community that we're all building together. If you can't afford to donate, please keep coming and practicing with us. We want everyone here. We want everyone to be able to practice. You've heard me say this before, but I'll say it again for people who maybe haven't been here before. Michael is donating. Usually we split donations with the teachers, and Michael is donating his portion back into Alembic to keep the lights on and these lovely air purifiers running and everything else that's happening here happening. So if you donate tonight for Michael, your donation is effectively doubled. But if you would like to support Michael directly, he has a Patreon. And tomorrow is one of my favorite days. Tomorrow is the Big Sangha AMA at 8 a.m. because we are nutcases, and that's when we get together on Zoom. And we all just hop on Zoom and ask Michael questions. So if you sign up for the Patreon tonight, you'll get the link for that tomorrow. I think that's all.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Let's meditate a little more. Feel free to run if you're not going to meditate. This is unguided. That was overall too soon. Okay, thank you very much. See you soon. In not next week, the week after that, we'll be back. See you then. Bye-bye.